You are live, Doc. Thank you.
Thank you, Bongi. Greetings to you all, UNISA students and colleagues that are here. Thank you for joining and welcome to the Proctoring Apps training. We all know that the COVID-19 global pandemic compelled many higher educational institutions, including us, to use online proctored exams to uphold the institution's integrity. Please note that not all modules are proctored at UNISA. You therefore need to please check your timetable carefully. There's a lot of learning regarding these new exam processes. There are 2 applications used at UNISA that you'll be trained on today, which are the Invigilator app that will be trained by Mr. Nick Reimer from 10:05 to 11 o'clock. Thereafter, you would be trained on Iris app by Mr. Lazarus Aaron from 11 o'clock to 11:30. There would be a question and answer session from 11:30 to 12 o'clock. You are also encouraged to post your questions in the Q&A section of this event. There is a team of experts who would be taking care of those questions. The webinar video recordings for these sessions will be uploaded on our UNISA Adobe YouTube channel. What you need to do is go to YouTube, search for Academic Development Open Visual Hub, and you will find our webinar recordings there. In addition to the webinars organized for you, there's an online Mooc advertised on the UNISA Open Learning Portal that will help you to prepare for the online assessment skills. In the Mooc, you will learn the following: how to navigate an online assessment platform. You will also learn different online assessments that you can expect in an online learning environment. You are also going to learn about the proctoring apps used, what is it used for, and how do you use it. You will also learn about academic integrity in an online assessment. And the provisions also will be made for students with special needs in an online assessment. On that note, students and colleagues, I declare this session officially opened, and I'm handing over to Mr. Nick Reimer for the presentation on the Invigilator app. Thank you. Nick, over to you.
Morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Pumza, for the introduction. I'm just quickly showing my presentation. I'm just waiting for it to start. I'm going to be taking you through the Invigilator application this morning. As Dr. Pumza mentioned, my name is Nick Reimer. I'm one of the founders of the application. I come from an academic background myself. I'm working with 2 other senior lecturers from the University of Johannesburg, and the three of us as a technology team put our heads together at the beginning of last year to create a solution that works well within the South African context and that helps maintain academic integrity, because that right now is what we're talking about with regards to the importance that's been placed on that because of the change in dynamics, and now you writing away from campus and writing remotely. Perfect. So I'm going to kick off the conversation, and before I dive into what you can expect from the Invigilator application for your upcoming exams, I want to cover the main reasons as to why this application is being used by UNISA. If any of you have been following the news lately, there's been concern around the academic integrity with regards to cheating because students are now writing away from venues in an unmonitored fashion. Now, what this poses a risk to you, or how this is a risk to you as a student, is that here you've now paid a lot of money to study a prestigious degree at the likes of UNISA. You've put a lot of time and effort into it. Now, because other people are colluding in the background, there's less reliance and less importance placed on your qualification. And what this means is that when you reach the employment world, well, employees might not place the importance on the degree like they did previously. So therefore, UNISA, together with us, have partnered to make sure that that is not going to happen, and that the importance that you deserve to be placed on those degrees you're working so hard towards achieving is there, and that employability remains high after qualifying. The solution was developed by academics. This is not an international solution coming out of an international technology company. The solution was put together by lecturers and by academics within South Africa. And the importance here is that the Invigilator has been created with the South African context in mind. So it's ideally been custom built for you and for the exact purposes of you writing these assessments and examinations now with UNISA. It's been developed by a team of lecturers and academics with over 30 years experience in teaching, learning, and invigilating examinations. The Invigilator application is accessible to all students because the application runs through an entry-level smartphone. And we're going to get more into that as the training commences. But to use this application in your upcoming examinations, all you need access to is an entry-level smartphone. A phone that has a camera and a phone that is connected to the internet can run this application and can maintain academic integrity within UNISA for the upcoming examinations now. What will the Invigilator application do, and what can you expect the Invigilator application to do when using it, when writing now for your end-of-year papers? The Invigilator application is not invasive technology. It doesn't detract you away from your writing. It simply performs a number of checks, typically 3 or 4 requests over your examination, just to make sure that it is the right person that is supposed to be writing that specific paper and that there is no talking or unethical behavior going on. It's not an application that's been built to spy on you, to snitch on you. All the application is there to do is to replicate what the physical invigilator would have done if you were writing in one of UNISA's venues at the end of the year. The application does not do anything else than what that specific invigilator would have done should you have been writing in a venue. So what can you expect, and what will the invigilator do? Well, first of all, the Invigilator application is going to ask you for a selfie, or it's going to ask you for 2 selfies while writing a specific paper. Now, why is that application asking you for a selfie? Well, it's just making sure that it's you that's writing the paper and not someone else. We're making sure that it's the correct person that's actually writing the assessment, and someone hasn't got someone to write on their behalf or act unethically. When you register for the application, you will take a master file selfie when entering all your information for the first time. When writing all your assessments going forward, each selfie that you capture within your examinations and assessments is then compared back to that master file photo that you've captured. And with our facial recognition, we just make sure that it's the right person writing that examination. The application is also going to have voice recordings built in, so that means it's listening to see if there's any talking or any unethical behavior going on with regards to colluding while that paper is being written. What if you are writing in a noisy venue? What happens if you have a baby that's crying? That's fine. We know that we are under circumstances now with regards to writing away from campus. So naturally, there are going to be noises and human voices speaking outside where you are actually writing. But that is nothing to be concerned about. The only thing that the recordings are looking for is for conversations that are happening about the examination or assessment, for incidents of unethical behavior, typically getting assistance or asking someone for help. That is what the microphone recordings are looking out for. So if you are writing in a noisy environment, you're writing in a res, you're writing in a public library, that's nothing to be concerned about. It will flag as a fail, but your lecturer will then listen and there won't be any unethical behavior detected. It's only there to pick up if you are talking about the examination and getting assistance. The application also has customized instructions built into it. Just like your physical invigilator will ask you for a student card or an ID document when you are writing in a venue, so the application is also going to request these certain documents from you. So please make sure you've got your ID card and your student card close by when writing at home, just like you would have done if you were writing in a venue, because at some point over your examination, the application will request a photo of one of these documents. You simply then click the picture and you move on and you carry on writing. Please remember that everything happens automatically within the application. So once you logged in, once you have scanned your code and the examination has started, there's nothing manual that you have to do with regards to these photos. It's simply going to ask you for 2, 3, 4 photos while you're writing. Everything opens up automatically in the phone. You just click the button and you move on. You put the phone next to you and you continue writing your assessment, whether it's written or online writing on MyUnisa. Moving on. There's a built-in browser that we've also incorporated within the Invigilator application. And why this is important is because if you are one of those students that's writing your examinations with a single device, so you actually write your MCQ quizzes or your other examinations from UNISA on your smartphone itself, well, you can still do this, but you can access that through the Invigilator application. So once you've logged into the Invigilator application, you will be able to access MyUnisa and download your PDF script or answer the different MCQ questions or your written parts of your script through the Invigilator application. And why this is important is because then you can continue to write in a monitored fashion, but like you would have done last year, for example, when you were just using the phone to write on your MyUnisa portal. So that's very important. So if you have a single device and you worry that you won't be able to do both, that's no longer a concern. Students can run the Invigilator application and write using that same device for these upcoming examinations now. There's also a script upload function that's built into the application. And what's very important to understand here is that this simply acts as a backup. So if there's ever a problem with your MyUnisa upload at the end, the Invigilator then has a copy of your script. Again, everything happens automatically within the application. This does not eat into your exam time. At the end of your writing time, it will then inform you that it's time to upload a picture of each page of your script, and everything opens automatically, and you simply capture an image then of each page of your written script. So this is typically for a scan and upload examination. So for those of you that are writing on paper, you would then use this feature, and your lecturer would then tick this option to be available when they create their QR code. You will then be able to scan, so take a picture of each page of your script and then upload it obviously with the rest of your data from the Invigilator application, and then the university will have a backup copy. You will then follow the normal proceedings in uploading your paper to the MyUnisa portal through the normal means that you have done before. Should there be any issue with the uploading of your Invigilator data, then please move on to uploading your documents then to MyUnisa first and then go back to the application. It is not time sensitive in uploading your examination data on the Invigilator. So if for whatever reason there's a delay in the uploading or you need to contact our help desk, please make sure that you upload your actual script to MyUnisa first and then go back to the application. But the way the script upload now works is it means the university is going to have a backup copy should there be any issue with your LMS and your MyUnisa upload. Lastly, the app will pick up if you get out the application or leave the application. Two very important points there on that. You need to stay in the app the whole time. Okay, like you would in the venue, you would not take your paper and leave that venue and then be allowed to come back in later. The same can be said about the Invigilator application. You cannot exit the application, minimize the application, and then come back into it later, because then we don't know what you have done in the time that you have exited or left or minimized that specific app. The app needs to be running the whole time. What's important to note there is please do not minimize the app. If you minimize the app, it will be the same as you exiting the app or closing the app. It will then pick up and flag to your lecturer that you have not been in the application for a specific portion of time. So don't do that. And then secondly, please avoid the temptation to manually lock your phone. The application will dim down, but you need to leave the application in the phone next to you while writing. Please do not manually lock the phone because the application then closes. You need to just leave the phone, follow the prompts, but do not manually lock the phone. The only time that you will be permitted to leave the Invigilator application is to contact our WhatsApp help desk. Now, we'll get into the WhatsApp help desk now a little bit later on into the presentation, but we will be able to trace when you contacted the help desk versus when you've left the application. So please only close, minimize, or manually lock the application if you are having issues with regards to the running of the application itself, and you need to contact the WhatsApp help desk. I'm now going to play a short video which will just give you a little bit of context in terms of what you can expect the Invigilator application to do, and then we're going to run into the different communications that you will be receiving from Mooc, etc. Going forward with regards to updating you on how to use the application, as well as getting into the student guide and the frequently asked documents. I'm going to quickly play the video and then I will see you in 3 minutes.
Welcome to the Invigilator app. This app helps you complete online assessments safely and securely. All you need is a charged smartphone with a camera and a small amount of data or a Wi-Fi connection. The Invigilator app helps prevent cheating. How does it do this? While you're writing your exam, the Invigilator app takes random audio recordings, and if speech is detected, the recording is flagged for your lecturer to review. There will also be selfie and photo requests used to verify your identity and prevent unethical behavior. Your lecturer sets up the amount of photos the app will ask for and audio recordings it will capture. Let's show you what that looks like. Download the app on Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Sign up with all your details. The app will ask you for permission to access your camera and microphone. Take your initial selfie by clicking the camera icon when prompted to do so. This will be the photo that the facial recognition will run selfies against, and flag if there is an unfamiliar selfie taken during an exam. Now you are all set. When commencing an exam, log into the app and the dashboard will load. You can start the exam by entering the exam code or scan the QR code visible on your exam. Once you started the exam on the app, you'll see the photo doc and the time remaining in the bottom right corner. You can now place your cell phone next to you and commence your exam. The app will notify you at random intervals for predetermined requests that your lecturer has set up. The pop-up request will ask for a specific photo. In this example, it's a photo of your exam paper. Take the photo, it then loads into the photo box. Now it's asking for a selfie. Take note that an error will appear if your face is not visible. When the timer runs out, it will load the files onto the cloud. This is when you'll need data or an internet connection. This pop-up means the Invigilator app has successfully uploaded all the information. Now you're all done. Your lecturer will review the photos and the recordings the app sends through. Don't worry about your personal or test data. It's completely safe and secure. Your information is only used for assessment purposes and deleted later. So how can you prepare for an assessment using the Invigilator app? Download the app ahead of time to be sure it's compatible with your phone. Make sure your phone is charged, or else the app will alert you that it needs to be charged. Have an internet connection or data for the beginning and end of your assessment. Now you are ready to use the Invigilator app. All the best with your upcoming assessment.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. So that's just a quick overview with regards to how the application is going to work. As you can see from the video, there's nothing to be concerned about. Everything happens automatically. It's simply doing what you would have experienced if you were sitting in a venue. That phone is just simply replacing the physical Invigilator. Now, from the communication from the Mooc, this is the message that you will see when you access that messaging platform. And what I want to go through now is just the different resources available to you should you have any further questions or want further clarity on it. So here is the message that you will be able to receive from the Mooc. And firstly, please follow the link below to determine if any of your modules are selected for the compulsory use of the Invigilator application. So when you've accessed this message, if you are unsure whether or not your specific module will be using the Invigilator application, there is a link that you can see under point 1 that you can click on, and you will simply then just enter your exam module into that specific link, and it will tell you then whether or not you are going to be using the Invigilator application for that specific assessment and exam. There will also be a second means of communication from the lecturer to you directly, communicating whether or not your module will be using the application. So you will also have communication coming that way, as well as the QR code being distributed to you. So there will definitely be certainty with regards to whether or not you will be using the application. But please, if you are uncertain, please just use that link that we've created. It's got every single module from UNISA, and it will tell you automatically whether or not you will be using the Invigilator application. Thirdly, if you are still uncertain, please then just contact our WhatsApp help desk. I'm going to get to the WhatsApp help desk number. It's on point number 5. But if you have any questions or queries, we've got a number of agents on call that can then assist you and help redirect you back to that link and double check with you that you are either using or not using the Invigilator application for those upcoming exams. Okay. If any of the Invigilator applications are using, or if any of your upcoming examinations are using the Invigilator application, there is a more detailed video that you can access there under point 2. So you'll be able to click on that link directly. It's a bit longer than the video that I've just shown you, and it just shows you how the Invigilator works in a little bit more detail. It gives a full comprehensive overview of everything that you can expect within the Invigilator application. That link is also in the student guide that will be distributed to you from the Invigilator and lecturer team, but you can also access the student guide directly under point 3 there from the Mooc. And if you click on that link, it will open up the Invigilator student guide, which is a 20-page comprehensive guide around what the Invigilator does, the step-by-step process in downloading and registering for the application, as well as short videos explaining any questions that you have. Under point 4, there's also a frequently asked question document that's been prepared specifically for you as UNISA students. So if you have any questions, please refer to that document, because I can almost guarantee that that question's answer will be there, as well as you just getting a further understanding of the way the application works. I am going to go into the student guide in a little bit more detail now, just to take you through some of the important aspects, but then you can access all of this information then in your own time before the examinations commence. Lastly, and very importantly, point 5, the WhatsApp help desk. So we have got call center agents that are sitting on the desk waiting to assist you. Now, please take into account that this is a WhatsApp help desk. So you cannot phone this number. That number that's there, the 073-505-8273, please save it. You will just WhatsApp your query to that specific number, and one of our call center agents will then assist you immediately with your problem, whether it's a tech issue, whether it's a user issue, or whether you just have a query and something that you want clarity on. Please direct all of those questions to the help desk, as we have got a full team in place ready to assist all the UNISA students with regards to their upcoming examinations and queries. As you can see, there's been a lot of thought that's been put into all the documents that you have access to. There are videos that explain everything. There are documents that explain everything. And then on top of that, there's also a walkthrough demonstration that's performed when you register on the application for the first time, as well as having practice and demo codes that you can then use in the student guide, and that's what I quickly want to show you now. So I'm just going to quickly stop presenting this screen, and then I'm going to move on to the student guide, as I want to just quickly go through one or two of the main aspects of the student guide, because you will obviously have access to that shortly. Sorry, I'm just quickly waiting for my share screen to pop up. Right, and I think it's important to just go through the student guide with you before we open up to some questions, because I see we are getting some questions. We do have a team that's on hand to answer any of the questions that you need answering. So please just send through any questions that you have, because we will try and address as many as we can in the presentation and after. But then if we don't, for whatever reason, answer any of your questions, please take down that WhatsApp help desk number. You can either send that through or look at the frequently asked question document later on and see if any of the questions that you wanted to ask will then be there in that specific document as well. All right, so this is the document that you will receive now as a student. It was there from the Mooc communication. You will be able to click on the link and open the Invigilator student guide. This is a comprehensive document that takes you through the application step by step. This is not a complicated application. Like I have said, it has been built by South African academics, and the reason that we have built it is so that it's a very easy and simple to use application for students. You register and you scan the codes to start your examinations and you follow the prompts. But this student guide will give you further clarity, should you need it, with regards to anything more that you want to know about the Invigilator application. So in tying up with my presentation, I explained to you that the application was going to request certain photos and certain customized photos like your student cards, etc., over the course of your examination. That is here on this specific page, and it just again describes, if you want to look at it again and just get some more understanding of what the application is going to do. There is a more detailed video. The video that I played today was our shortened 3-minute video, but there's a 7-minute video here on YouTube. Please follow the YouTube link, as that will give you a detailed explanation of everything you can expect the application to do in your upcoming assessments and examinations. The technical support desk is there to help you at any time. If you have a query, a user issue, a tech issue, please direct all of that to that specific WhatsApp help number. Remember that you cannot phone that number. You need to WhatsApp it just like you would use any other WhatsApp conversation. The in-app browser is there for those students that want to use a single device to write their examinations this year. You can then run the Invigilator application and then access My UNISA through the Invigilator application. So using a single device for the upcoming examinations, if you are one of those students, is possible with the Invigilator application and the way that it has been built. The demo test, now very important. Once you have registered for the application, you will now be in your lecture, in your student's dashboard, and you will then be able to start an examination. So just like you would start your actual UNISA examination now, in the upcoming assessments and exams, you can start an examination by practicing on this specific demo code. So you can either scan this code once you have registered on the application, or you can enter the manual code as you see below, and that will kick off a demo examination for you. It's a short 8-minute test. It does a few prompts and checks, just to familiarize yourself with the way the Invigilator application works. Obviously, we are using something for the first time. There can be that uncomfortableness initially, but once we've used it once, then we're obviously much more comfortable. And I think that is the point around the demo test. And I strongly advise all students to please register in advance of writing their exams and assessments, and to at least have practiced this demo code once, just so that you know exactly what that application is going to do. It's nothing complicated. Everything is automated within the application. There are alerts and instructions to tell you exactly what to do, but it's good just to get a feel. So please scan this code and you will then know exactly what to expect when you use the invigilation during the actual examinations now, within the next couple of weeks. Then we've got a step-by-step walkthrough that has been built. So step 1, download the application. So the application is available on all app stores. So Google Play, Apple, as well as Huawei App Gallery. So any phone that you have, you must just make sure you know which app store you want to access, and then you can download the Invigilator application through any one of those stores. So step 1 in getting yourself ready for the end of year examinations is to please download the Invigilator application should you discover that you need to use the app for your exam. Remember, you can use that link from the Mooc to double check whether on specific modules are using the Invigilator application. When you find out that they are, or if your lecturers communicated with you directly, go to the app stores and download it in advance so that you are all registered and ready to go, and that you have practiced the demo code at least once. Registering on the application will require you to use your UNISA email address as well as your UNISA student number. We register you based on your student number and your email address. So please use your UNISA email address as well as your UNISA student numbers when registering. Please double check the information that you are inputting. It's very important that you input the correct information, because if you do not, then you will not pop up as a registered user, and you will then need to contact the WhatsApp help desk for us then to rectify the problem. So please just double check that the information that you are inputting when registering for the first time is the correct information. And again, should you have any issues and you have confirmed that you do need to use the Invigilator application for your exams, then please just direct that query then to the WhatsApp help desk, so one of our agents can then assist you with the registration process. You will need to verify your account just like you would with any other application. So when you have registered, it will then send you a verification PIN to the email address, to your UNISA email address. You will enter that verification PIN, and this is just to make sure that the email address that you are using is working, it is functional, in case us as the Invigilator team need to contact you for whatever reason or update you with regards to whether or not your information has been uploaded correctly to our servers. What's very great, what's very, very neat with regards to the registration process is that there's also a so-called walkthrough demo when you register for the first time. So you will have a calibration when registering, where everything that the Invigilator application is going to expect of you when you are writing will be told, communicated, and shown to you when you register in the application for the first time. So it will tell you the alert sound that you will receive for a photo. It will show you how it's going to work with regards to the uploading of your data. It will show you how your script upload photos will work if you are a student that is going to be writing and uploading during your UNISA examinations. So it is almost a walkthrough demo test to familiarize yourself with every single alert and every single instruction that you can expect on the Invigilator application. Remember, again, once you have actually registered, you then also have access to that demo code to just make sure you fully understand how the application works and what is expected of you. Your master file selfie will be captured when you register on the application for the first time. This is very important, so please make sure that you take a nice, clean, well-lit photo, because all your selfies taken going forward in your UNISA examinations will be compared back to this master file selfie. So when you register for the first time, you will capture an image. Everything will be explained to you in the application when registering. You'll capture that selfie, and going forward, any selfie that's captured of you while writing will then be compared back to that master file selfie, just to make sure that it is the right person that is writing that specific paper. You've now registered for the application. You can obviously now log in. Please remember your username and your password. Write it down somewhere. There obviously are links to follow should you forget the password. There is also a remember me function. Should you wish to use that, we recommend using that, because obviously if you use that, then you stand the risk then of not forgetting your password. But just a suggestion from my side is that when you do log in, please just write down your username and password somewhere accessible, so that just in case if you forget, there's not going to be a need to contact the help desk 5 minutes before your examination. You'll have your password there, but if you do forget it for whatever reason, there's also a forgot password link where you can then just reset it through the email address that you have provided the Invigilator application. Demo test, like I said earlier, very, very important. Please use that code. It basically just simulates exactly what you can experience. It's only 8 minutes long. It will take you through all the different prompts and requirements the application is going to expect you to do. It's a very good way to fully understand and comprehend what is expected of you when you get into the live situation of writing your examination. Perfect. Lastly, in terms of what I want to cover is the exam code. So for those of you that are writing online, so you're writing on My UNISA, you're either doing an MCQ or you're writing a written script through My UNISA, you might get asked for a one-time examination PIN, and this essentially just makes sure that the person that's sitting doing the online exam is also the person that's sitting with the cell phone. Nothing to worry about here. You will get a prompt in your LMS or your MCQ to enter a one-time PIN from the application. If that is a function that has been selected by your lecturer, there will be a button on the application where you can click it and it will open up a one-time PIN. It will make sure that you are wanting to generate that one-time PIN now. You say yes, and you enter that PIN either as your MCQ question or as a written question if you're writing an online My UNISA examination. So again, there's all the information here in the student guide. If you would like more information around that, as well as it is included in that YouTube link that's higher up on page 4 of this document, and that will fully comprehend exactly what that one-time PIN is going to ask of you. But it is a simple one-time PIN like you've seen in the banking world, where you're trying to pay someone, you get a one-time PIN, you enter that 4-digit code, exactly the same thing, but instead of entering into your banking portal, you're just entering it into one of your questions on My UNISA. I think I've covered everything with regards to the Invigilator application. There are multiple resources. Please go to Mooc. There are different links there with all the different frequently asked question documents, student documents, and all other videos that explain how the Invigilator application works. Please make sure you have worked through those documents, registered well in advance for the examination so that you are comfortable and that everything's working, and practice the demo test. Lastly, should there be any other concerns or questions, we do have our agents on call round the clock ready to assist you. Please save that number there. It's obviously in multiple formats across the communication that's gone to you, but just in case, please make sure you save that specific number, because you can obviously then WhatsApp us if you have any queries at all. Please do not hesitate, because we will then, one of our friendly agents will assist you immediately. Just to end, nothing to be concerned about here. The application has been created in a way to maintain academic integrity. We covered why maintaining academic integrity is so important. All the phone is doing is just replicating what that physical invigilator would have done if you were writing in one of the UNISA venues towards the end of the year. The application is just making sure that you are writing under exam conditions. Just behave like you would under normal examination conditions, and you have nothing to worry about at all. The application is just there so that the importance of your qualification is maintained, and it's fantastic that UNISA is placing that importance on academic integrity, and that South African company has come together to create a solution that is helping address that risk. And I wish you all the best with your upcoming examinations and assessments. I know I'm a little bit early, so I want to handle 1 or 2 questions that have come through, and I know we've also got some time at the end just to answer any other questions. But please, if you haven't asked any questions now, go to that frequently asked questions doc, because we have got a comprehensive list of questions that one of those will definitely address any of your concerns, and then the student guide is also there. Thank you so much, Dr. Pumza. That is where I'm going to end my presentation. And I don't know if we want to maybe open up if you've seen any questions that have come through that you would like me to address now.
Thank you so much, Nick, for your valuable presentation. Yes, because time is still allowing us before the next presentation, I would like us to quickly take a number of questions for you. The first one says, is a student card a requirement for identity check? Can I go to any UNISA campus for the student card, especially with the COVID-19 restrictions? I think let me just read out all the questions so that you will prepare the responses. Another question says, I do not have a smartphone or phone that can load apps. Can I use a friend's phone that has a different contact number than the contact number UNISA have? Another question, is the app only for smartphones? Can it be used on your laptop? A question again, is the app supposed to be on the same device that I use for my exam? The last one that I picked, I'm not very computer literate and need a person to assist me technically to download, print, scan, and upload my exam onto my UNISA. Will I be allowed to have this person assisting me at the beginning and end of the exam? Just a minute, Nick, let me quickly check another platform for questions. Another question says, if someone is not technical and digital literate, can they have, okay, I've asked that already. Okay, this one of people not being computer literate and not being technical, it came twice. I think it's a great concern. Yes, that's it for you for now, Nick. Thank you.
No problem. So I think on the student card question, You know, you must I think come in here, Dr. Pumza, but for me, the student card requirements is just to physically verify that it's the right student at the time that's writing that assessment. So it will either be a student card requirement, or a picture of your driver's license or ID documents, or somewhere where your student number is on some sort of documentation. So your exam timetable, for example, anything that proves it is the right student at the time that's behind that specific paper will normally suffice if you cannot get a student card. So I think first preference, if your lecturer is requesting a photo of a student card, first preference would be take a picture of the student card if you're able to get one. But if you are not, then please just make sure that you use some other form of identification that then is going to tick the box for your lecturer to be able to identify you. In terms of can I use a friend's phone? Absolutely, you definitely can. So the application is not restrictive to your specific phone. You would then just use your login details. After you have registered for the application, you would just use your login details then when accessing the application on your friend's phone. So you can use different phones over the form of your exam period, but as long as you keep your exam login details for the invigilator, obviously, close with you, that you know them, you will then be able then to obviously use someone else's phone and write the examination then accordingly. In terms of your laptop, so a laptop requirement is you can use a smartphone. That's really where the application has been designed. So why has it been designed on a smartphone? Well, we feel that most students in South Africa have access to a smartphone, whether or not it's their own smartphone or someone else's smartphone that they can then just borrow for their exam period. That is the reason that the solution has been built this way. So it's not a laptop solution. It is a cell phone solution, a smartphone solution. So you could please get yourself access to an entry-level smartphone to run the application, because that is the way the system has been designed to monitor you. We do have a backup in a web version, but only as a last resort. So if, for example, you have no access to a smartphone, which is very limited cases right now, we feel that most students definitely have access to some sort of smartphone, whether or not it's theirs or a borrowed device, then we will be able to direct you to a web version. But that, like I said, is an absolute last resort. It's not something. We are a smartphone solution, and the application works best using the smartphone, because you are going to be asked requests like take photos of your scripts and take photos of student cards and ID documents. That does not work well using a desktop camera. So therefore, first choice, please make sure you can try and access a smartphone, even if it's just for an hour or two that you need to borrow someone from the family for whatever, or whatever, you know, just to have access to one to write that specific examination accordingly. Is it the same device for the exam? I think I've covered in the initial question. So again, you do not need to use the same cell phone over and over. For example, if you have borrowed one for your first examination, you will be able to use a different cell phone as long as you log in accordingly with your details that you've registered with, and obviously downloaded the application on that other phone that you have now borrowed to run the application on. Technically competent assistance. So if for whatever reason you are being assisted to write an examination, as long as UNISA and your lecturers have signed off on this, that they are happy that someone is going to be able to assist you, then there won't be any issues with regards to the Invigilator application, because any of the microphone recording flagging will be around the assistance that's being received in order for you to upload your documents then correctly. So it won't be unethical behavior. Remember here, what the application is trying to detect and trying to deter is unethical behavior. So the application will only follow up disciplinary proceedings if they hear talking about the examination at hand, you're assisting someone or someone's assisting you. So typically events that wouldn't happen in a venue. So if you do have permission to use someone to assist you in doing the relevant technical tasks that you now are required to do when writing remotely, that will not be a problem, but just make sure that UNISA have signed off on this, because then obviously then the microphone recordings and the rest of the data will then correspond to that permission that's been granted. And then lastly, the technical competence. So guys, this has been created in a very simple to use manner. On a smartphone, you just go to your app store, whichever phone you are using. So Apple, you'd go to your Apple app store. If you are using a Samsung, for example, you'd be Google Play, and any Huawei phone, Huawei app gallery. You type in the Invigilator, you download the application. Once it is downloaded, you just follow the instructions that the application gives you in the registration process, and all you do is scan the codes when starting your examination. There's nothing technical that you need to perform. It's not a daunting task. And then just from my presentation, you will see that there are numerous resources available for you to go and get comfortable with the technology. And if you feel you want to speak to someone and ask any questions, we do have the help desk then available that will answer any of your technical queries that you have. So really nothing to be concerned about with using the Invigilator application for these upcoming examinations. Thanks, Dr. Pumza. I think those were all the questions that were asked.
Thank you so much, Nick, for the responses. The last one that I'm going to respond to says, what happens if you don't download the app for the compulsory exams? I need to remind students that we are doing invigilation for examination processes compliance. That would mean you didn't comply. Therefore, there would be consequences. Students, kindly get all help that you need so that you can finally comply on the exam processes. Nick, finally, I would request that please share the WhatsApp call center number, maybe on the Q&A or on announcement. Thank you.
It has been shared there already, Dr. Pumza.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Then I would immediately now hand over to the next presentation for Iris app to Mr. Lazarus Aaron. Lazarus, over to you. Thank you. Lazarus, unmute.
Sorry, I'm just checking. Can you see my presentation on the screen?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So I'm a lecturer in the School of Computing. I'm in the School of Computing in the College of Science, Engineering and Technology. And in the College of Science, Engineering and Technology, we've decided that we're going to use the Iris Invigilation app for online examinations. So the Iris Invigilation app was created in Australia, but in an Australian university, and it's, like I said, it's also only used by the College of Science, Engineering and Technology. I'm having some technical issues here now. One moment, please.
Okay.
Okay.
From our side, Lazarus, we can see you. We can see your presentation.
Yes, but is my presentation moving? Oh, okay, it is moving.
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so Iris is a software program that helps provide UNISA staff with the assurance of assessment integrity during online and remote assessments. So from that perspective, it is the same as the Invigilator app that was just discussed. But from the perspective, but it's completely different, I would say, in the way that it operates and the way that it works. Iris records audio, video, and computer screen activity for the duration of the test or exam. It analyzes this information using machine learning and automatically flags potential academic dishonesty. What we must remember here that, and I know we will probably get a lot of questions from students regarding this flagging. So like with the Invigilator app, you do not have to worry about sudden movements or sounds in the background that won't be considered as cheating. So Iris will only flag you for potential dishonesty. So if you make sudden and quick movements, maybe to the right or to the left, or you look up, and you do that quite often, then Iris is going to flag you. But you will not be penalized if you make movements or small movements, but yes. So yeah, And if there's background noises like a noise of a car or at the background, you will not be penalized for that. So that's very important to take note of. How does IRIS work? When IRIS is active, it will be recording a video of you captured through your computer's web camera. It will be recording sound from your computer's microphone, and every few seconds, it will take a screenshot of whatever is showing on your screen. When IRIS is running, you will see this particular pop-up at the bottom of your screen. That means that IRIS is running and it's invigilating you, but you will have to be online during the entire time of your exam. And okay, so that's how IRIS works. I'll come back to some of the technical details just now. The necessary equipment for IRIS, because it records you the entire time and it records audio and video, you need to be online during the entire time of the examination. You need a laptop or desktop. You cannot use a phone or a tablet. You need an external or built-in microphone, no headset. You need a web camera. You're allowed to use a camera that's on your, or an app on your phone that you can connect to your computer, which allows you to use your phone's camera and microphone. So you're allowed to do that. IRIS will allow you to do that. We recommend a minimum of 24 GB RAM, and for your computer to be of Windows 7 64, but sorry, I can't see the presentation on my computer, so I'm actually looking at the second screen. Okay, so let's go to how to install the IRIS plugin. So IRIS is a plugin. It's not technically an application. It's a plugin that you add to your browser. We recommend that you use the Google Chrome browser because from past experience, most students have fewest issues with the Google Chrome browser. So if you want to install it on Google Chrome, you can go to Google and you can Google for the Chrome Web Store. Then you'll find the Chrome Web Store. You can double click on the first one that pops up on the Chrome Web Store. Then you search for IRIS in the Chrome Web Store search bar. Then IRIS will be the first one that pops up. You will double click on IRIS, on the IRIS pop-up or the IRIS extension. You will then click on Add to Chrome, and then this pop-up comes up on your browser. You click on Add Extension. This is a very important step. We recommend that students actually pin the IRIS plugin onto their Chrome or Edge taskbar. On Chrome, you do it like this. You click on the little puzzle piece on the top right-hand corner of your Chrome browser. You click on IRIS on the pin next to the IRIS icon, and then what happens is that the extension is pinned to the taskbar. Okay, so after you've installed IRIS, then you are ready to write your IRIS invigilated exam. What you need to do is start your browser, preferred browser, which we recommend to be Google Chrome. You navigate to the My Exam platform. You log in with your My username and password. You click on your exam link. You choose your exam module tab. Then you click on either online assessment or e-assessment, depending on which type of exam you're writing. For online assessments, you have to, for online assessments, IRIS will pop up. I'll show you the pop-up just now, but IRIS will pop up as soon as you click on online assessment. For e-assessments, IRIS pops up when you open the examination. After you've clicked on e-assessment, I will just demonstrate to you that just now. After that, you follow the IRIS instructions carefully, and then you start your exam. So this is how the iris pop-up what the iris pop-up looks like. The first screen of the iris pop-up, you will first have to click this box here to say that you agree to the terms and conditions. Then on the first time that you use iris, you will have to allow iris to use your camera and your microphone. These are two pop-ups on your browser that you will have to click on allow each time. Then this screen will pop up, will pop up next, and this lady who's called Iris will give you instructions on how to complete the Iris initialization process. So you'll have to choose your camera, choose your microphone, put in your name here. You need to put in your student ID number as well. A lot of students in the past have put in their actual ID number, but we want your student number. It's difficult to locate you on the Iris system if you use your identification number. Then you will be asked to hold your student card to the camera. You must hold your student card as close as possible to the camera so that your student card fills the entire camera frame. What happens is that Iris automatically authenticates you, and if it's not close enough, it may not authenticate you. Your card will need, you can use your student card, or you can use your driver's license or your ID book or ID card if you have an ID card, but it has to have a picture of you. And then Iris will automatically authenticate you. If Iris for some reason does not authenticate you, it can be done manually by the lecturers, as long as we can see your picture on your ID card. Okay, and then it will ask you to position yourself on the camera. So it will tell you whether you're in the middle of the camera or not, or whether you should move to the middle or not, or whether you should move to the middle. And then after that, then you click on Start Invigilation. The next step is actually very important. After you click on Start Invigilation, this screen pops up, and what happens is that this purple share button here is disabled. You have to click on this screen in the share screen window. So you click on this little screen here, and then only is this share screen enabled. It's firstly grayed out, and it turns purple as soon as you click on this window. So a lot of students actually didn't forget about this process. So they may have watched the video, but or the training, gone through the training, but they forget, and we get queries saying that their share button is disabled, or they haven't haven't used Iris previously, and they don't know what to do on this particular step. So this is very important to remember. Lastly, okay, so after that, after clicking on the share button, you will start writing your examination. You will then upload your examination. As soon as you upload an online assessment or an e-assessment, Iris pops up. So Iris minimizes when you start your assessment, but as soon as you finish it, Iris pops up and it starts uploading some files. It's important to know that Iris actually uploads files to the Iris servers every 10 minutes. But at the end of the process, there's a few other files it needs to upload, and it will upload those files after you've clicked on submit on your examination, and then it will close by itself. So you need to leave Iris alone until it finishes uploads, and then it will say bye, and it will close by itself. Okay. Yeah, do not close the window until Iris has finished uploading. Okay, so when does, I mentioned this just now, that when Iris pops up or works slightly differently for online assessments and for e-assessments. For online assessments, IRIS only pops up when you click on the online assessment tab. But for e-assessments, IRIS pops up when you open, after you've clicked on the e-assessment tab, you've opened the actual examination, that's when IRIS pops up. So that's important to take note. Don't look for IRIS to pop up on an e-assessment as soon as you've opened the e-assessment. You have to open the examination first for IRIS to pop up. Okay. Now, most students who are writing a IRIS invigilated examination would have received an email on their MyLife's account on Monday evening about a CSET exam preparation site. We create the site, CSET creates a site for every examination. On that site, you will find two test examinations on where you can test if IRIS is working or not. So after you've installed it, you can go to this particular site and you can test if IRIS is working. The site has got a lot of other information as well. It's got videos on, it's actually got the same information that's available on the Mooc that was spoken about. Okay. This is how the site looks like. There's the IRIS PowerPoint under additional resources. There's the frequently asked questions document under additional resources. There's an online assessment and an e-assessment where you can practice IRIS. There is also a list of all IRIS invigilated modules, but what you need to take note of is that all at CSET, all first-year modules, all third-year modules, and all fourth-level modules are IRIS invigilated. Fourth level and honors modules are IRIS invigilated, so that's important to take note of. Yeah, your second-year modules are not invigilated for this examinations. Okay, now I'm going to go through some possible errors you might receive while you're writing an IRIS invigilated exam. And one of the most common ones is this one. When you're writing an online assessment, you might, if you do not have IRIS, the IRIS plugin installed and you've not activated it correctly, then you get this access denied error. And this error occurs on MCQ or online assessment examinations, and that is because for online assessments there is a password that's required to access the examination, and IRIS auto-populates the password. So some students who do not have IRIS installed go to the examination, try to access examination, and then the system asks them for a password, and they fill in maybe their MyUnisa password, and then they get the access denied error. But like I said, IRIS puts in the password or auto-populates the password, so you are not supposed to put in the password by yourself. And if IRIS is not installed, obviously it's not going to put in the password, and you won't be able to access your examination. So if for some reason IRIS you have IRIS installed, but it for some reason maybe does not put in the password, what we've noticed previously is some students don't share their screen, then IRIS does not put in the password. So you need to actually make sure that IRIS is activated correctly. So you need to go to the entire, you need to actually make sure that your microphone and your web camera is allowed, or else, like I said, the password won't be filled in. But let's just say for some reason that you've activated everything correctly, but IRIS either puts in the password and either does not put in the password, or it puts in a password, but for some reason you still get the access denied error. These are the steps you need to follow. You can close IRIS if it's open. You log out of My Exams. You clear your browser cache. Then you close your browser. You open your browser again and start your exam again. The clear your browser cache is very important, because if you possibly write maybe multiple online assessments that are IRIS invigilated and you've clicked on save password when you write, after IDAS populates the password or the automatic password, and you click on save password, because Google will usually ask you to click on save. If you've done that, then the next time you use it, it may use the saved password. So if you clear your browser cache, then you won't have that issue. So that clear browser cache is important. For take-home assessments, sometimes there's a problem where IDAS does not pop up when you open the exam. And this could be for various reasons, but it could be because your internet connection is too slow and it's taking a long time to connect to the IDAS server, or it could be because the IDAS server is loaded. But currently in this exam, we're not expecting this problem because the system has been upgraded. So we're not expecting, but in previous examinations, we had this issue where for some students, IDAS did not pop up when they opened the exam on the take-home exam. And what we tell students is to do the same process as I previously mentioned, is log out of My Exams, clear your browser cache, close your browser, open your browser, and start your exam again. Okay. This is a problem that happens if your internet connection is poor. So we try not to penalize students for poor internet connections. If your internet connection is poor, and because IDAS uploads files every 10 minutes or so, when it's uploading and your internet connection is poor, or maybe it's stopped, you get this error, an unexpected error has occurred. What you need to do is refresh your screen. Fortunately, this does not happen, or we haven't experienced this happening on online assessments. We have experienced it with students on e-assessments or take-home examinations. And so what you need to do is that you need to refresh the examination page if you get this specific error. Okay, this one I've mentioned previously. We've had issues or queries from students previously about the sharing of the screen and the share button being disabled. This is important to remember, that if your share button will be disabled, that you need to click on the little screen in the share window, and then your share button is enabled, and then you can click on it and start your examination. Sometimes we have this issue where IDAS does not close at the end of an examination. What we tell students to do is to close IDAS themselves. Because IDAS uploads every 10 minutes, we will have most of your recordings. And if for some reason it does not close, so you can wait for 15 minutes. If it does not close after 15 minutes, it actually should close. It does not matter how strong your internet connection is. It should take maximum 15 minutes to upload at the end of an examination. If it does not close, you can close it by yourself, and then you can do something called finalize recordings. I will show you just now how to do that. This error is something we get, but it's not very often. It's maybe 1 out of 1,000 students or 2,000 students who get this particular error, where it says IDAS is just loading. And in most cases, it's because your internet connection is either extremely slow, or you might think that you've connected to the internet, but you're not connected to the internet. For some reason, it has stopped, and IDAS will just say loading. You then have to check your internet connection. If your internet connection is fine, then we tell you to close all applications and only open applications that are necessary applications. Some students open things like WhatsApp desktop or Skype or whatever, and that will cause problems with IDAS. You can also try removing the extension and reinstalling it if your internet connection is fine. If you do one of these things, usually it will solve this particular problem or issue. If you get a problem, or IDAS says that it cannot recognize your camera, usually on the first IDAS activation window, you have to choose the camera or microphone, and if you can't choose it, if it's basically, it will be in red if you can't choose it. If you can't choose your microphone or your camera, there's a few things you can do. You can go to Chrome and go to Chrome settings content and check either your camera or microphone and make sure that it is allowed, that Iris is on the allowed list for Chrome, and for Edge that it's that the ArcSperse is not set to block. Okay. If it still does not work, you need to test if your microphone or your camera is actually working. You can go to webcammictest.com to do that. You must make sure that you have no other applications that lock in your like Microsoft Teams, for instance, or Skype, because these are open. Because these applications lock in your camera and you won't be able to then use it on Iris. Some third-party programs, okay, I mentioned that. So what also possibly happens is that you may have used Iris, or you may have used Skype or even Microsoft Teams or something like that that locks in your camera before you write your exam, and because of that, Iris does not pick up your camera or microphone, so you have to then close all applications and restart your machine. That usually often sorts that issue out. Finalized recordings. Earlier on, I mentioned that you need to pin your Iris icon to your taskbar. The reason why I said that is because I think in one of the previous slides I mentioned that Iris does not close sometimes, and you have to force close it, and you need to finalize recordings. So this is how you finalize recordings. You click on you right click on the Iris icon and you click on finalize recordings. So if for some reason you had to force close the Iris and you need to upload any files that have not been uploaded, you can click on finalize recordings, and you can that will then allow you to upload those files. Okay, so this is the end of my presentation. I think for me, the two things that are important, and for me, the most important one is that if you do get a problem with Iris, do not panic, because if we discover students have problems, we give students extra time. We allow you extra time. I mean, you have 1 hour to upload your files on take-home examinations. So we'll allow you extra time. We'll allow you to use that 1 hour upload time to actually write your exam if we discover that you have a problem and it takes time to fix that problem. If it takes even longer than that, we'll allow you to upload on the contingency link. So the first thing is that if you have a problem with Iris, in fact, if you have any technical problem, do not panic. Send a screenshot. Use your phone if necessary, but take a screenshot and send it either to exam inquiries at unisa.ac.za or CSET exams at unisa.ac.za. But it's very important that you take a screenshot, because usually students will contact us and say they are in a panic and they can't articulate the problem that you're having, and so we can't answer you quick enough. So, but if you send a screenshot, we can tell straight away what the problem is, and we can even, and a lot of the time students think that the problem is with Iris, but it's actually not related to Iris at all. And you will, and students will say, Iris is doing this, or Iris is not allowing me to access my exam site, for instance. So take a screenshot and send that to exam inquiries or CSET exams. Okay, and that's it. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Lazarus, for your valuable presentation. I have one question for you and another one for Nick. The question says, the Iris extension does not appear on my web store. It says there are no results. You can respond to that. Thank you.
That's on which, is the student looking on the Chrome web store? Because that's not possible. The student needs to go to the Chrome web store. It is definitely there. So maybe I should show my presentation again, but it is definitely on the web store.
Yes, please, you can show your presentation.
Okay, let me just do that again. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so it's found on the Chrome Web Store. They need to search for Iris, and it'll be the first extension that pops up. They need to Google first for the Chrome Web Store, and then click on Chrome Web Store, and then go to the in the search bar on the Chrome Web Store, search for Iris. You just need to type in Iris, and it will be the first extension that pops up. Okay, so yeah.
Thank you, Lazarus. Okay. Nick, the question to you says, just a minute, I'm quickly trying to find the question. My chat is running up and down. The question, Nick, says, the terms and conditions of this app are off-putting. I don't mind using it, but why does it need access to my contact? Seems to be an invitation of my privacy. Seems to be my invasion of my privacy.
Okay. So again, the terms and conditions of use in the App Store, it asks you your permission to give access to your camera, because there are obviously photos of yourself, as well as your documents that will be requested, as well as your microphone recordings and your location. So there's no request for your contacts or anything like that. It's just permission for you to capture academic data while writing for invigilation purposes. So you can be assured that everything within our company complies with the strict PAPIA laws and regulations. And obviously that's the only reason that we've been able to contract with a big university like UNISA, and that everything that we do is above board with regards to capturing your data. So all the data that is requested from you is just for invigilation purposes. Like an invigilator would look at you and look at your student card and look at your driver's license, for example, in a venue. That's all the Invigilator application is doing. We're simply providing that information to UNISA and to the lecturers at UNISA for invigilation purposes. Your data will not be shared with any third party. It will only be used to invigilate you and for academic invigilation purposes. Thank you. I think that covers that, Dr. Phumza.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, any more questions to raise? Let me just quickly rush through. Okay, I see most of the questions have been answered on the Q&A side. Okay, let me maybe also comment on the log into my exams issue, invalid logins. I have made an announcement that students with login issues, for example, like this one which says invalid login, you need to send an email to Bugmaster. The email address is provided on, check on the Q&A, I've made an announcement. The email for Bugmaster is there. There's another question which says, Poor connection speed can cause problems. What download upload speed do we need to use Iris successfully?
I'm gonna say 2.5 megabits. Yes. Upload download speed minimum for audio, and yeah, I'm gonna say that, yeah, megabits per second.
Thank you very much, Lazarus. Another question. Okay, just to add on the in issue, students, also when you have problems, please check that you are connected. Is it not a connection issue? Maybe you should also wait a few days. You will find that maybe you are not yet linked. The most important thing, students, is to communicate to the proper channels that you have in the documents that the university share with you, on the contact details. Communicate, communicate, communicate. So yes, if you are having problems, it's very important that you get in touch with the university on all the channels provided to you for communication. I don't see any new questions, which says to me I can now close this session. Okay, I see another question coming. Let me attend to it. The question says, do you need to download the Iris extension if you are at the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences? Lazarus, I think this goes to you.
That depends if you're using if you are studying one of the CSED modules or not, because you can be part of the in a different college, but one of your modules could belong to CSED. So you need to, if you don't have any CSED modules, then you don't need to download the extension. But if you have a first year or a third year CSED module, then you have to download the extension.
Thank you, Lazarus, for your response. This is the last round of questions. Those who are having new questions, please raise them. I'm tempted to close in the coming 3 minutes. We can also maybe take it to the coming 7 minutes, sorry. We close at 11:30. I see another question for you, Nick. I registered on the Invigilator app and used the practice code last year. Do I need to register again for this year?
Yeah, so you will need to update the application. So you must just make sure that the application is running on the latest version. So please go to your app store, whichever one you're using, depending on the phone, and just make sure that the application's updated to the latest version. And then you'll be able then to use the application accordingly going forward. Please then scan the demo code within the student guide, as we have made changes to the application to make it more efficient and easier to use. So please just scan the demo code to make sure everything's working correctly, just to get a feel before you write again with it. And if you have any further questions or queries, please refer to the student guide, FAQ, or hit up our WhatsApp help desk, and any one of our agents will get back to you to answer any of your concerns and queries.
Thank you very much, Nick. I think this other one also goes to you. Yuri, you are most welcome to come in. What happens if your phone auto locks? Will it detect that you are not present?
So your phone won't auto lock when running the Invigilator application. It's been built into the application with the way it functions, that it keeps your phone open while you're writing the exam. So all that will happen is your phone will dim down, but the application will continue running. You just must not manually lock the phone. If you manually lock the phone, then you override this particular inclusion in the application. So that is why it's very important to just leave the application next to you, let it run, don't interfere with minimizing it or manually locking the screen, and everything will work perfectly.
Thank you so much, Nick. I'm still running through questions. Okay, some of them have been answered.
I think maybe just while you look for the rest of the questions there, Dr. Pumza, just on the internet connectivity required for the Invigilator application. Yes. So you only require internet connection for our app when you log in. So when you initially log into the application to scan the QR code, and then only at the end when you upload the data. So you can change the phone to flight mode while writing to ensure that there are no disturbances from outside phone calls or outside WhatsApps making notifications, for example. So it's not internet. It's not requiring constant internet, so you don't need to worry about your internet connection dropping or anything like that. You only need internet at the beginning, at the end, and at the end it's not time sensitive. So if for whatever reason you are having internet connection issues or there's load shedding, for example, you can then wait and upload your data at a time that you are then connected to the internet. But please try and change your phone to flight mode while writing so that you don't get disturbed then from outside noises within the phone.
Thank you very much, Nick. Thank you, Lazarus, as well for, yes, Lazarus?
There's a student, I see a question on the Q&A. A student is asking if they can use their work laptop. They can use their work laptop when using Iris, but they need to make sure, they need to test Iris, and so they need to make sure that they do the practice test and that it works, because sometimes work laptops organizations prevent certain applications from running on your laptop, so on a work laptop. So they need to just test it, and if they find they have issues, they probably need to take it to the ICT people just to make sure that there's no security on the laptop that's preventing them from accessing the Iris application. Yeah. There's a question by someone about a work laptop, and they also want to know. The question also says that speaks about data, the same person. Just to let students know that students will receive data for the examinations, and students who are writing Iris Invigilator exams will receive extra data.
Okay, thank you, Lazarus. I've just received some important information also from DSAA. I can see that there are many questions on students who say they have problems with timetables, etc. I have posted on the announcement the contacts, the emails that you can use, also the UNISA call center toll-free number. Students, I would like to thank you very much for actively participating in this session. Thank the presenters, Lazarus and Nick, for your valuable presentations and contribution, and also thank my colleagues from UNISA for being supportive in this session. Also thank the Invigilator app team for assisting with the answers to the questions. I am tempted to say I would be closing this session, students and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, at 11:30. Thank you.